Radio.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
To the song.
Yeah.
Welcome to Dear Dad. It is Thursday night and you are watching the Dear Dad show here on InRavio.com. I'm Dan and
I'm Tony.
And we are Dear Dad. So
hi everybody.
What does that mean? That means we're here to bring you news and stories and our own opinions from a dad's point of view. Because you know what? Dads are 50% of all parents.
I thought you were going to say being a dad isn't easy.
Well, it's not easy, but it's still 50% of all parents are dads.
We're just the other half of the half.
We are. The other half are moms.
Right.
So how have you been?
I've been doing good. It's been a while. We haven't had a show in a number of weeks, and we're back live. So.
I think what happens, and most people who watch a show are going to be able to identify with that, is since our show is about families and dads and doing what you need to do to keep a whole family going, sometimes there's just so much else going on that you have to make the decision as to what do I need to do. And over the past couple of weeks, we've needed to do things that took us away from being here to do a show. With our families, you have a lot going on.
This time of year. Yeah, there's the graduations, there's the going to graduations, your own children graduating, there's a lot of things that happen.
Well, in your life, you've had a whole transformation going on in your home with not everyone staying. You have your daughter moving out.
My daughter moved out.
And you're redoing your whole house, basically, which, I want to talk about it a little bit later, but it really does affect the whole family. Everything. It's one little thing affects everything because, okay, I wake up, I got to go to work. How am I going to eat breakfast? How am I going to prepare a lunch? How am I going to do this? Because everything's in a disarray. Right. So it really does affect the whole dynamics, which is, you figure a way to work with that.
It's disruptive to everyone in the house.
Absolutely. And on my end, I'm going through a little bit of different stuff, whereas, as we know, we talked about my oldest, he graduated from college and now is starting his career, and my middle one is in the process of college, and she's going away to study abroad for the next semester. My youngest one is going into high school, and there's all the different schedules. And each one of them have different needs from me. And I think it's important that we talk about how do we deal with all this and how do you deal with all this and how can you effectively help everyone in your family by doing the right thing and sometimes...
And how to handle that stress level. Because there is a stress level that comes with it all.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, what kind of cracks me up sometimes is, let's face it, my kids have done very well, your kids have done very well. We know a lot of people whose kids have done well in school and in life so far, and people come up to you and say, you know what, you're so lucky. It's not really all that much luck. It's a lot of hard work. It really is a lot of hard work to be a parent. And if anyone, sees someone that they think is doing well, it's not just because it's happening. It's because they are putting in the time. It's a full-time job to really satisfy the needs of a family. It's not just earning the money to
Right.
keep the whole family going. It's the emotional support. It's everything else. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you agree?
It is. It is. And I think that as your children get older, they begin to realize the investment it is, to have children and how you need to reshuffle your priorities and adjust your lifestyle to raise children.
Right.
And not everybody wants to do that. Not everyone who gets married wants to do that. Not everybody who has children want to do it that way. But if you
Correct.
take that path, then you're investing a lot of time, and you become
And it's
the
a
second
commitment you
and the
make.
third and the fourth priority.
So now that brings me up to something I want to start, talking about, and I think that'll lead our show. Jeremiah Heaton. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
You probably haven't. Some people might have.
Is he a viewer?
Nope.
He's not
Jeremiah
he's not a
Heaton,
fan, he's not a fan
and
of
I
your
think
dad?
this is going to be the discussion is really when do we try to do too much for our children? We want to give them all the ability to succeed, and we want to try and help them as much as we can, but when do we go overboard? So Jeremiah Heaton, he's from Virginia in the United States of America, and he has a 7-year-old daughter named Emily. And he told Emily a few weeks ago that, what? Emily said she was a princess. And he says, well, I'm going to make sure that you're a princess. So Jeremiah Heaton, he did his research, and he found out that there is this 800 square mile area of desert between Sudan and Egypt that was never claimed by anyone. So he claimed that land. He went there. It took him 14 hours by camel caravan to get to the site. He planted a flag that they had designed as a family, and he proclaimed the Kingdom of North Sudan to be his own. It used to be called Bir Tawil, which was basically no one lives there. It's desert. It's half the size of Connecticut, but no one lives there. And no one claimed it. So he claimed it as his own, named himself the king of the Kingdom of Northern Sudan, which makes Emily, in fact,
A princess.
a princess.
Can you do that?
Yeah, he can. Now, he's not technically
doesn't
accepted.
everybody have to recognize that?
Not everyone. Believe it or not, he has to get either the United Nations, Sudan, or Egypt, which are the two nations that
The
touch
neighboring.
it, to recognize him as the owner of this property, pretty much. So that hasn't happened yet, but that's what he would need.
How do you get title to the property?
He would need
somebody
recognition
has
by
to
one
have
of those
title.
three to be recognized as the king of the Kingdom of North Sudan. And what he said, and here's the quote, he said, "I wanted to show my kids I will literally go to the ends of the earth to make their wishes and dreams come true." What do you think? I mean, how far beyond is that?
Well,
How do you
I think
top that?
Jeremiah,
What are you
I
gonna
think
do for her
Jeremiah
8th
had a little
birthday?
time. What does Jeremiah do for a living?
I don't know.
He might be unemployed.
He might be. Well, he's the king now, so it's King Jeremiah to you.
Okay. So, I mean, you got to have enough time to do this, I would guess, right?
Right.
So, whatever he does for a living allows him to that kind of freedom to go and pursue those things. I don't think everybody has the ability to pursue every wish
should
or
they?
whim that their children have. And right, I guess that's the next question. Should you
Right.
give them every single thing they want? Maybe
And I
they need
think
to
that's-
understand that you can't have everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
If we don't have dreams and things that we realize are probably out of reach, then what do you strive for?
Yeah.
You know, if everything is then there's the whole other issue that people are saying, oh, that's very white of you to go claim land in Africa and claim it in American, land. That's going back 1,400 years where they're going back to this colonialism. So there's a lot of people who have issue with him on that end, and I totally agree with that. What gives him the right to claim this land? Because he found it?
I think his daughter probably would have been just as happy if he went into his backyard and he dressed up like a king, and he had his...
And he took a refrigerator box and made it into a
refrigerator box
castle.
and whatever, and held it up and said, what's the daughter's name?
Emily.
Emily, I claim this Emilyville.
And you're the princess.
And you are the princess of Emilyville, and I am the king, and everything here is ours.
I'm so with you on that.
And I think Emily would have felt just as special.
Probably more.
Yeah.
I think parents, there's certain things we have to realize. Kids will ask for everything. Kids don't want, or they'll tell you they don't want any rules. They want to be able to do what they want to do.
They don't, inherently when they're, in development, they don't understand boundaries.
But they realistically want those rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they don't, there's no
structure. As they go forward, you give them boundaries,
Because they need to know what they can and can't do.
Can't go out of the kitchen, you can't go off the street, you can't go down the block, you can't, those are the boundaries.
And as they age,
and you
that
can't
changes.
have this, and you can't have this. Mm-hmm. And they need that structure, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think many parents, they grow up thinking, well, I want to be my kid's best friend, so I don't want to set the rules. I don't want to set the boundaries. And really what happens is, kids have a lot of friends, but they only have one set of parents. And if you don't give them that structure that they really need, and deep down, if you ask them, they want that structure, even though they're going to rebel against it, and they're going to say, I don't want to come home at 10 o'clock. I want to come home at 11 o'clock, and I don't want you to tell me to do or not do this. They really need that and expect that structure, because that's what keeps them comfortable. That's their safe zone. As creatures, we need a for lack of a better word, our own cave, our own place to call our own, where we can feel comfortable.
Sure.
And if all you have is open space, well, anyone can come into it. So by giving them that structure, those rules that says, you're not allowed to do this and do that, that's giving them that comfort zone.
And you're preparing them for the next step, entry into the real world as an adult. When you work, or whether you work for someone or own your own business, there are boundaries there as well. Obviously, when you work for someone, there are rules that you work within. Working for yourself, you're dealing with companies, this company, that company. You may be dealing with a contract. You may be dealing, with documents that allow you to service this in some way, or you're providing a service in some way. So these boundaries that you learn as a child, and these rules that you learn as a child, when you get into the world as an adult, there are maybe another set of rules. But you understand how rules are established and why they're there, and you follow the rules. So, I'm not sure Emily got a lesson out of this.
Well, I think she did, but in my opinion, she got the wrong lesson. She got the lesson that whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Whatever you want, we'll make it happen. Instead of, there's certain things that, you're probably just always going to want. Heck, I always wanted to be a rock star up in front of the stage. Is that ever going to happen? No, but that's a dream I'll probably always have no matter what. So you have to have dreams, because everything else then, if you don't have something to strive for, then what are you living for?
Right.
We all have dreams. But then there's also realistic things. What can I realistically expect out of life?
Right.
And I think to not give our children realistic expectations, we're doing a disservice to our kids. You know, to make them think that they could just go out and do whatever they want. That, I mean, recently there was, down in Texas, I believe it was, there was a young man who was put on trial for murder, and the defense was basically privilege. He was raised by parents that were so wealthy that money was no object, and he was given a life that none of his actions had any repercussions. Of course, parents would always take care of it, and then something went wrong, and someone ended up dying because he did something, not that directly caused the death, but indirectly caused the death.
Right.
And it was basically, he just felt, well, that's
So
what
the
happened.
defense is that
Privilege.
he wasn't able to distinguish between what he should be responsible for or could be responsible
Correct.
for. Therefore, it
Yep.
happened, or he
Yep.
allowed it to happen because he couldn't see his role
Right.
as being as a responsible person in this event.
Right. So it goes to that privilege. What about that girl that tried to sue her parents recently
Yeah.
because she
Staten
felt
Island.
privileged to go to a certain college?
Right, right.
That doesn't happen. That is built from the time Emily is made a princess at 7.
Sure.
What is Emily going to think she deserves for
Right.
her 21st birthday?
Sure.
What, he has to
She's
buy
got
the
her own
moon?
country, yeah.
Or you know, so as parents, I understand the feeling that we never want to disappoint our
Sure.
children.
You'd like to
I
give
know
them
that
everything
feeling.
you
I never
possibly
want to
can.
see my
Yeah.
daughter cry, because when I see my daughters cry, it takes a little piece of my heart out each time. But you know what? I know that sometimes they need to do that. Matter of fact, my oldest daughter, Haley, she's very emotional. She loves to watch movies that make her cry and read sad books, and that's just her. And I don't get that, because I'm the opposite type. I think everyone should be happy 100% of the time and
Right.
should never have problems. That's just my unrealistic view of things.
But she likes to read those sad books.
Absolutely. And one time I was trying to comfort her and say, oh, it's okay. And she said, basically, you know what, Dad? Sometimes I just want to cry. Let me be sad once in a while. And to me, that was this huge awakening that, but I don't want you to be sad
Right.
ever. But to her, it's, I want to feel those feelings. I want to feel happy. I want to feel elated. I want to feel joy. I want to feel sexy. I want to feel sad. I want to feel upset. I want to feel indignation. All the feelings
Right.
are important. And unless we allow them to feel it, then are we doing our job? Disappointment. We never want our kids to feel disappointment. In life, have you been disappointed?
Of course.
So if
of
you're
course.
not used to that feeling, do you deal with it better or worse?
Right.
Worse. Because you need to learn how to deal with disappointment, how to deal with not getting your way, or being, like you were talking before about it, you know, something's going on at work where your boss was, you know, just inappropriately putting an issue
he
on
wanted
you
one
that,
thing, but that wasn't going to be available.
or blaming you for something that you had zero control over,
Sure.
but yet it was your fault. How do we teach our kids to deal with that?
That's an everyday occurrence in life, and
Mm-hmm.
people have to learn how to deal with that.
And I think as parents, that's what we need to do, is just as much as we teach them to deal with the good stuff, is to deal with disappointment.
Yeah.
You know, that really stinks. And I'm so sad that that happened to you, but you know what?
In everyone's
okay.
life, some rain must fall.
That's right.
Right? Is that what they say?
But don't,
And
I mean,
Emily, we wish you good luck as Princess Emily, but you're going to have to deal with reality at
yeah,
some
I
point.
think Dad needs to teach Emily
I
some
hope
other
Mom and Dad
lessons
prepare you
besides
for
just
that.
being a princess.
Yeah,
Because that's the reality of it, you know?
Yeah.
How to deal with anything.
and that's our job as a parent. We're there to prepare you for life. And as you get closer and closer to being on your own, maybe we give you a little bit less guidance, a little bit more scope to do what it is that you have to do as an
Right.
adult, or as you approach adulthood. And you do have to fail.
Right.
And without failure, there's no such thing as success.
But I think kids
So we have
also,
to allow them to fail.
and hopefully kids realize how hard it is for a parent to do that, to watch you fail and just stand there and let it happen because we need to. It's hard. I mean, we're both at the
I think it's a hard
where,
thing. Now.
I do too.
My age.
Absolutely.
53 years old. I
We're both
realize
at the stage
a lot
where
of
our kids
things
are
that I never knew.
leaving. We have some of our kids, they're now completely on their own.
Right.
And their whole life we're trying to teach them and give them the skills.
Protect them from everything and provide everything for them. Are they going to get up in the morning and get to work on time? Are they going to, are they going to put gas in their car when they're supposed to? Are they going to have clean clothes? Are they going to iron their clothes? Or are they going to go all wrinkled?
Are they going to remember
Are
to
they gonna
take out
a
the
shower?
deposit
Are
and
they
send
gonna
the
take out their
check to the
garbage?
rent?
And are they going to do all those things? And you think to yourself, they're just children.
But they're not. And that's
But they're
the hard
not
part.
children.
I mean, my son actually said to my wife recently, something was going on, I forget, and with the accounts. And when they're in college, the bank accounts sometimes get blurred because we're paying for things and putting money into their
Right.
account so they can pay for things too. And I hear music. He said to her at one point, he says, "Can I just have my own big boy account?" And it's like, duh. That letting go sometimes is hard. You pray your whole life, you've given them all the tools to fly, but then
And then you don't want to push them out of the nest. You don't want to push them out of the nest.
It's hard.
But I think it's coming up on time to pay some bills today at Dear Dad and at radio.com.
So we got something for them to
we're
watch.
probably going to take a break.
Enjoy these commercials and go out and make a call or buy something. We'll be right back.
See you in a few minutes.
Paul Brown and the Killing Devils. Alternative progressive rock like you've never heard before. Over 1 million views on YouTube. New York City Village Voice says Paul is a gifted singer, songwriter, and musician with one of the best progressive rock bands on the planet. LA Underground Music Exchange calls him the only modern American band to cover every genre well. Pick up the albums Black Widow Tears, Red Spider, and The Wizard's Dawn, now on iTunes. And get to facebook.com/Killing Devils to keep up with the latest info. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. Mom.
Hey, welcome back to Dear Dad. I hope you guys enjoyed our commercials and our sponsors.
You gotta pay the bills.
Gotta pay the bills.
That's
Gotta
what
pay
you
the
got.
bills. So here we are in the middle of summer. It's not the beginning of summer.
No, it's the dog
It's
days.
about the middle of summer.
Yeah, it's the dog days of summer.
Yeah. So what's your plans? Did you do anything exciting so far, and what are you doing going forward?
Well, we did our family vacation already. We went to Virginia for a week in Washington. We did the family thing, so that was great with the whole family. And then I had to present at a conference in Nashville, so I went and I took halfway during the week. My wife and daughter joined us, so that was a great week.
All right, so a couple of days in Nashville.
My oldest daughter's really into the country scene.
Oh,
so
yeah?
Nashville's a fun city. If you've never been to Nashville, I recommend it highly. Great, fun city, a lot of things to do, music in every single location.
Right.
I mean, the stores right next door to each other, a whole line, and each one has live music, so
Right.
that was fun.
So when you went away with the kids, do you feel like you have to plan more, differently, right? Because when they were little, you're like, all right, well, let's go to an amusement park. We'll be out all day. You need to manage your time a little bit, especially when they're really little, right? You need to manage, okay, what time can we get everyone up and out,
Right.
right? When are they going to need, when they're really little, when are they going to need to be changed?
Take a nap.
Right.
and
Do
all
I
that.
need to take bottles with me? Do I need refrigerations? Do I need coolers? Those are the kind of things. Dan and I happen to be out of that stage.
Yes.
But I remember it, and I remember it well. And that took a lot of planning.
Sure.
And now, as the kids are older,
Totally different.
planning is, you could do a little bit more spur of the moment. You could change the plans a little bit. And they don't always want to do what you want to do.
Well, I was just going to say, that's the thing.
so
is
how
now,
did
no matter
that
what
go?
you plan, they might go,
You had 5 adults on this vacation,
Yeah.
is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
5
And we
adults.
found things that each one liked to do. I mean, but it was one wanted to do tubing, one wanted to go zip lining through the forest, one wanted to do this. And we found different times to do all different things.
You do anything, though.
Yeah.
You'll zip line,
Me?
you'll
Oh,
tube, you'll do anything.
Anything.
Your wife, will she do anything?
No.
Yeah. My wife won't do
But
won't
you
do
know
just
what?
anything.
She,
And I don't do,
And
like,
at
I don't like
first I
roller
didn't-
coasters.
See,
So
I
there'd be
love
certain,
roller coasters.
yeah, I know, you like all the death-defying things.
Yeah.
There's
I like
some
to
things I
hang
don't
on
like.
it.
So if the kids want to do it, I either go ahead and do it.
right.
But I don't, when they were little, you had to go on everything.
Sure.
Like I went on the Disney stuff. I went on things I don't like.
Just because.
Because I was afraid to send them alone.
However-
now I'm like, go ahead.
I will
Go
say.
ahead, insurance is paid up, go.
Now I won't go on the real spinny rides, like the teacups.
Like the
because-
vomit wheel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it just makes me nauseous. But now, those I'll stay off of. But what I also find, my wife, she is genuinely okay with just not doing it.
Right.
Even though this time, like when they went ziplining through the forest, my wife didn't go, and they were going. I said, you know what? I'm not going to go. Not because I didn't want to. I wanted to.
Right.
But I felt, you know what, I'm going to stay back with
This
my
is my
wife.
time,
And
just-
we took a hike through the woods, and the kids went. Oh, I got to tell you a funny story.
And they kind of go and they depend on themselves when they go.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Which is another good thing to
Absolutely. And they
I
depend
find
on
that-
each other.
I define-
Their
right.
bond
That's what
as
I mean.
brother and sister
Yes.
have begun much stronger as they get older.
I find that now, those occasions happening more and more in my house where, they're doing something which I know I could do with them, or I would like to be with them, and I don't
Right.
because it's brother, sister, brother,
Absolutely.
because they're doing it.
And that is so cool,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So here's two things.
It's good. In
One,
a way.
I'm going to get back to what I'm doing in a couple weeks because I want to talk about that. But we're on vacation and we're in Virginia. Now we're in the Smoky Mountains area, and we're taking the tour and driving the Skyline Drive, and it's gorgeous. So there's a couple spots where you can go hiking. And you know, I'm a camper and I do outdoor
Sure.
stuff, and I'm usually used to this. So we go hiking and we get to this one spot and say, let's all go. But now we're in shorts and flip-flops and T-shirts, and we didn't have hiking sticks and boots. We weren't ready. So
For rough terrain,
but
if that's what you come across.
it was supposedly an easy trail, so we go. So we're walking through, all 5 of us, and my youngest, Megan, is in the back, and we get to a certain part of a trail, I'd say about a quarter of a mile in, and she goes, ooh, what's that? I said, what do you mean? She said, Dad, come here. So I go and look, and there's a snake that we had all just walked by, and she nearly stepped on. And I look at the snake, and it's about 8 foot long.
That's pretty long.
With a nice diamond pattern all along the back,
Oh, it's
and
like a
about 8
rattlesnake.
rattles on its tail. It was a mountain rattlesnake, highly venomous snake
Damn.
that we almost just stepped on. So I said, you know what? We're not really prepared for this. Let's go back to the car.
Back to the car.
Okay, so my
Run.
son takes the, no, we're not running, because now we're all looking at everything.
Yeah.
So my son takes the lead, and all of a sudden he's in front, and we get about halfway back to the car, and he does one of these. So I'm like, what's the matter? He goes, look. There's about a 300-pound black bear right in the trail that we have to go down. So I'm like, okay, now what? Of course, they're known for all their bears over there. So he was obviously just looking for food, and at that point, we weren't food. We were, too
Right.
much work for him. So I just picked up a couple of rocks to bang together, and he eventually made his way off, and we got back to the car. But that was quite the adventure for my wife.
I could imagine.
Yeah, so it was fun.
She doesn't even like the little critters.
No, oh, those are the worst.
Those
The
are the
littlest
worst.
one, she's better with the black bear than she would with a gray mouse.
A gray mouse.
Oh, yeah. So,
She's-
what I have left
Matt,
coming
she doesn't even like Mickey Mouse.
No, she doesn't.
That's how much she hates mice.
She's worse than an elephant with mice. So one of the things I'm doing coming up is, and I just want to mention this a little bit, is everyone knows who watches the show, we're both involved in scouting and the Boy Scouts of America, and
Yes.
we're going up to camp in a couple weeks. And the camp, it's a full week out in the woods, and it's fairly roughing it. I mean, we do have flush toilets, but that's about it. And it's bunks in tents.
Recently,
and-
in the last couple of
in the
years,
last
flush
couple of
toilets.
years. So this year we're going with 31 young men between the ages of 11 and 18. And it's a week that they really get a good experience. Anything they really want to do, they have the opportunity to do. Building on all kinds of leadership skills, but building on personal skills and all different adventure stuff they get to do. But one of the things that happened recently, and this is kind of why I still do it, and I think it's the reason you still do it, is one of the mothers came up to me and she was having a hard time paying for the camp. It's not really a lot of money. It's only $400 for the week, which for most
For
camps...
some people, that's
well, as
more money
camps
than
go
they
on
have.
Long Island, that's
Oh,
not a
it's,
lot.
it's inexpensive compared to
But for
other
her,
camps. For what
it was
you
a
get,
lot.
yeah.
For her, it was a lot of
Sure.
money. And she said to me, she said, I have to make sure that I find out a way to come up with this. And I said, well, we're always willing to work with you. And she said, because, my son, his father has never been in the picture. And he is he's a minority when it comes to ethnicity. And she says, I'm so afraid that he's not going to learn how to be a good man. And when I send them with you, she says, I know, I'm not paying for the week at camp. I'm not paying for the food. I'm
Sure.
not paying for the amusement.
Sure.
I'm not paying for the boating or the swimming. She said, I'm paying so that he can be immersed with men that I want him to
Sure.
learn from.
He's got 12, 13, 14,
Responsible
male
men.
role models,
Yeah.
that he could pick things up from.
And
Sure.
that when she said that to me, I guess I inherently know that, but
Yeah.
to hear someone say
Yeah.
it puts such a responsibility on me. Not that I'm not willing to accept it,
Right.
but I take the job so much more seriously that, whenever I say something, and you know us, you know me on the trip, do I embarrass myself? All the time. Why? Well, to show the kids that it's okay to be embarrassed sometimes.
We're
we
human.
make mistakes.
We're not perfect people.
We look stupid sometimes. We don't always have to be perfect. We can be silly and do crazy things. That's what it's about. And I give this mother credit for realizing that there are different types of role models, and our kids need all of them to become well-rounded people. So that's why I'm going to be going away to camp for a full week. And I give up 1 full week of vacation totally willingly, because I feel it's so important that we as parents, we have responsibility to our own kids.
Sure.
But as a community, we have responsibility to everyone else's children sometimes too.
That's what they say, right? It takes a village
I
to
know
raise
you
a
have some
child.
neighbors that maybe their fathers aren't as involved as they could be, or they're not around.
Right.
That you have taken the responsibility of grabbing them and saying, come on, let me show you something.
Sure.
Let me teach you how to tie that fishing line, or things that they need to.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. We, and to a degree, everybody gets that opportunity. They don't always take it, but there's that opportunity there, that if there's somebody in your neighborhood that needs a role model, and you're a responsible adult, you can help fill that role for them as well.
Don't shy away from it. I mean, I think I know a lot of people that feel, well, what do I have to offer? Everyone has something to offer.
Oh, yeah.
There's something you're good at that they can learn from.
And that's, back to the Boy Scouts, that's what I like about our group of adults, is that there's, everyone has a specific talent. Sometimes there's duplicate of those talents, but there's a role to fill. There's a leadership role, and there's the guy who's pretty handy, and there's a guy who does a lot of the cooking. I like to cook. The fix-it guy. There's the guy who knows a lot about knots and ropes and tents, and then there's the people that are just willing to try and do anything. And of course there's people who are good working with the youths, but
now, going back to the cooking, because I know that's a big part of what you bring to the scouting.
That happens to be my specialty.
Because you enjoy it. And here's a story I got back from one of the scouts, and I won't tell you who, because it doesn't really matter, but he was telling me how he was away at college, and he did this cooking. He was cooked for himself, and he did this, and he made this big pot, and he said, how did you know how to do that? Or why did you think you could do that? And he basically said to me, well, because I didn't think that I couldn't.
Right.
Because he just knew that if he tried, he had it in him.
Sure.
Where did that come from? Well, because when he was 11, someone was telling him how to make eggs in a fajita with peppers and potatoes to feed. It's not that one thing that you teach them. It's you're teaching them, okay, I'm teaching you how to make this, but what I'm really teaching you is that if you use this, you can do anything you want.
Right.
It's more the process, not the one thing you taught them how to make, but the process of how to think, okay, this is what I have, what can I do with it? And it's much more than food, it's life in general. So I think those lessons that you thought were teaching them how to cook was far more than that. Because now not only can they cook for themselves, they can cook for someone else, and they can then sustain someone else and support someone else, and then it just goes so much further than what you think that one skill you're teaching, which is what's so important with all of our friends and kids. That one thing you teach the kid might be something they need to learn.
Getting back to what this woman was seeking here was, of course, she was a role model, but really what it is, it's involvement as well, right? So obviously you want somebody involved with your child that has that morally is in the right direction, things like that. But also there's the involvement. So he doesn't happen to have a dad, role model, male role model that's involved with him on a regular basis.
Right.
So he's not able to learn from that point of view, and it's like being involved with your children at home. You know, you can take the time. You know, some people can go to every game that they have, and they can go to, you know, every practice, and they can be involved with every homework opportunity. But you don't have to be involved with everything. But you can take the time, because you just can't. But as long as you take the time to be involved with them in something that they're doing, whether it's something that they like or something that they don't like, you know, they're picking up from you. You know, they're learning from you, the way, whatever it is, the way you use the screwdriver, or the way you carry yourself, or the way you deal with your neighbor, or way you deal with your adverse situation. You get pulled over for a ticket, and you deal with the officer in the right way. They're seeing that, and there's an involvement there. So you need to be involved.
And I think you make an important distinction is, you know, I understand right now, for many reasons, parents can't be as involved sometimes as they'd like to. So the difference is not that you have to be involved with everything, but if you're not involved when you could be, that's the problem.
Right.
If you could be, then you should be.
There's a lot of things I like to do. I like to golf.
Right. But yes, if you're at work and you have to provide for the family and you have to do things, you
Yeah,
might not be able to go to that school event.
you
But
have
if they
a
know
mom
you're
and a
sitting
dad
home
work.
doing nothing for no good reason and
Right.
not showing up, that's where the resentment comes in. If they realize, okay, you're out working and doing something that they need, they get that. But
Right.
if for no good reason, they see that too. And that's where I think the distinction comes in, is do what you can when you can. And the kids will respect you for that. They
Right.
don't expect you to be at everything.
You can't be in there, you know, and you
Absolutely.
might hear that from them. You know, you didn't come to this, or you didn't do that, or you didn't. You know, that's going to happen because you can't possibly make everything.
Right.
You know, but be there when you can be there and make time for them. You know, you know, they didn't ask to be born. You decided you wanted to have
responsibility.
children. You need to make a commitment to them, and
That's
you
right.
need to be there for them in some way. And when there's children out there who don't have that commitment, there's other people that can help fill that role, right? There's the scouting programs, there's other youth programs.
Many other youth
There's all kinds
programs.
of things like that.
Absolutely.
And the flip side of that is there's other people out there that'll try to fill it that are not good for your children. So you have to be you have to be involved with
You have to
that
be
as
vigilant,
well.
yeah.
You know, so they're going to find a role model. They're going to find somebody, you know, that they want to be like, or that they want to learn from. Okay, you know,
Yeah.
be involved with them and help them find the right person. You know, we can't. You know, I know. You know what? I don't want to get off this. It's not really getting off the subject, but it's a change in subject. You know, we talk about these basketball players and football players and baseball players and these sport figures and things like that. And we say, oh, you know, this guy shouldn't have done that because he's such a role model to the kids. To a point, I get that.
Well, why
But the
is
flip
this
side of it-
person a role model and not their parent?
Yeah, he's
Or their
just a regular guy, and
Absolutely.
he didn't make a good decision there or whatever. I get it. But now's the time to say, you know what? Joe Jones, the baseball player who beat up his wife or whatever he did wrong, or steroids, or got caught for drugs or whatever, okay, he may be a good baseball player, but it doesn't mean he's a good human being.
Right.
Okay? He doesn't mean, you know, that should be your role model. Do you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because there's a lot of people out there who aren't superstars
Right.
that are good role models.
But how can parents
Okay?
use that?
And you should jump in there and get
Right.
involved with that. Not
Point
so much
out.
and say, hey, you know, this guy should be punished, or this guy shouldn't be, you know, doing what he did because he's a role model to millions of kids. Maybe you shouldn't be a role model to anybody. Maybe he should just be a basketball player or a
Right.
football player.
So instead of pointing
he
out,
doesn't need to be a role
you
model.
know, Joe Babe Ruth as the role model, say, hey, I read this story in the paper. Look at what this guy did, or look at what this woman did.
Right.
They went and they did this, and look how. point out examples of real role models.
Right.
Because let's face it, more often than not, if you're in the national public spotlight, I'd say 90% of the time, you're really not the role model you want your kids to look up to. But the
Probably.
best role models are probably
And you're
right
under a
next
microscope.
door.
You know what?
They're sitting in your
I don't do
neighborhood.
everything
They're-
right
they're
every day.
Teachers,
I don't want to be under the microscope like
No.
like a Derek Jeter or somebody or whatever.
Absolutely not.
You know. Did you watch the All? Speaking of Derek Jeter,
watched some of it.
Did you watch some of the All-Star game?
I think
it
they
was all
treated
about
him
Derek
right,
Jeter.
and they did right.
And you know what? Just the people in baseball just like him. You know what I'm saying? In general, there's always a
Why?
couple of guys who don't like him.
Why did they
but
like? Because he's
they like him
never
because
done. He's never been in a scandal.
He's never been caught doing anything wrong.
Okay, and
He
does,
lives a pretty squeaky
he's
clean
not a
life,
loudmouth.
you know.
He tries to help when he can.
He's humble.
He does, yeah.
You know, even when they gave him all that attention, he was like, I
Right.
appreciate it and everything, but there's a game here and we should
Yes.
play the game.
So they did right by him.
And he took it on like that. Now there's a guy who, he's a decent role model for
Right.
children, but then again, you don't know him personally.
Correct.
He's not going to be personally involved with your child.
And if you
Okay?
build him
so
up,
I wouldn't say, hey, be like
'cause
Derek
what
Jeter, because you don't
happens-
know what the man's really
right,
like.
what happens if he does do something wrong and you've built him up to be
Right.
this great guy, and then you say, uh-oh. I mean, early in his career,
I
look
say,
at
be
someone
like
like an
Ted next
A-Rod.
door. The guy goes to work every day. He keeps his
Yeah.
lawn nice and neat. He treats his kids good. He's an honest
And
guy.
that's my
Be
point.
like Ted. He's not a
Point
superstar,
out-
but he's a decent guy.
Point out the role models near you.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
and
they're going to
show
see
your
that
kids
person.
what you think is a good value in someone. Okay, I think we're out of time. Are we out of time, Matt?
Are we out of time?
We got
14 minutes.
14 minutes. Why don't we go to commercial?
We'll do a commercial. I think I'm going to come back and do a song.
No, you're not. God help us
All right, okay. I'm not.
We're going to come
I'm
back
not
and
gonna
we're
do a
going to find
song.
out what the heck is going
know.
on in Tony's
We talked
kitchen.
about wish list. I wish I was a little bit taller, and our new intern gave me a pillow to sit on. So I'm actually sitting on a pillow today.
Look at that. Now I feel like a gigantor.
So not, you know what? I guess sometimes your dreams can come true.
There you go. Take us to commercial. We'll talk about Tony's kitchen
Okay.
when we come back
All
on
right.
Dear
Oh,
Dad.
all right, my remodel.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural,
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com. For For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit hansoncarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. InRavio.com.
And we are
It's your
back to
turn
Dear
say
Dad.
welcome back.
Thursday night here, broadcasting to the entire universe.
The universe.
And it feels
I don't know if it's actually in the, it's not in the universe because it's not celestial. So it doesn't.
Celestial? Means
Celestial. It does, it's not a broadcast. Broadcast would get out to the universe. This gets out to people who only have a computer. Only people who.
Well, what if you're on
If
a
you have an
different
IP
planet?
address, you can see us. What's that? 7.2 billion people.
No, I don't think that many people could afford a computer, but that's just beside the point. No, they don't.
They have access to the
No,
internet.
don't pull anything up for me, Matt. Anyway. Or down. So it must feel like the entire 7.2 billion people have been in or out of your house at some point over
Well,
the last
that
month.
means there's 14.4 billion eyes on us right now. Just to put it in perspective. It's
Are they watching?
it's more people than McDonald's has served hamburgers, by the way.
Don't tell them that. You make them feel bad.
Well, they served
Okay,
a lot of
so-
hamburgers, but
I did this about 12 years ago.
what'd you do?
I remodeled my house, and in particular, my kitchen and living area. And you now are going through the nightmare
Yes.
of doing this.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you about it.
Well, before you be honest, I'm
not
going to
gonna
ask
be
you a
honest?
question that you need to be honest.
All right, you ask me a question, I'll
When
give you
you
an answer.
started this whole thing, when you started thinking about it, it
Yeah.
kind of had this romantic kind of feeling to it, like, hey, I'm going to remodel, I'm going to get everything nice and do all the things I want to
Mm-hmm.
do, and
Yeah.
it really isn't like that, is it?
No.
No, it's not. It is such a disruption to your entire life that you had no idea how remodeling this one part of your life could completely send your entire life into upheaval, right?
First of all,
Go ahead.
we know people who own their homes. We know people who have remodeled things, and
Right.
we've heard their stories.
I've done it.
Okay, and you've done it yourself. Okay, so you've heard the stories. And I hear people like, oh, it was so hard. We were without a kitchen for 2 months.
And you thought,
and the
oh,
contractor didn't
stop
show
your
up. And that
whining.
guy, and it was dirty, and it was this. And I listened to it, and I'm like, what a bunch of babies.
Right, it's not
Ah,
going to happen to
big
me. I know what
baby.
I'm
Yeah,
doing.
big baby. And you hear that over and over
Right.
again. Now, when it was time for me to do it,
Right.
I'm thinking, I'm not going to have those problems.
Not you,
because
'cause you know what you're doing.
I know better.
Absolutely.
I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not gonna get ripped off. I'm not gonna be delayed.
Everyone's
I'm
gonna
not
show
gonna
up
get
on
the wrong
time,
stuff.
and the things are
Everybody's
gonna be
on
there,
top because
and
I
you're gonna
am
get the
going
price
to,
you want.
I'm gonna
Absolutely.
micromanage the snot out of this.
How'd that work
Yeah.
out?
Just doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. You know,
Over
it's-
budget, over time. You know, that's just what it comes down to. But it's coming along nicely. You know, there's a lot of inconvenience with it, and you know, we're the family show, so we talk a little bit about the family.
Okay,
It's
so
an inconvenience to
how
everyone.
did this? I got two questions.
Mm-hmm.
How did this pull the family apart a little bit, and how did this drag the family together?
those the two
Because
questions,
those
or
are
is
the
that
two
one
questions.
question?
No, two questions.
Those are two questions.
The pulling
Okay.
apart and the
So pull it
making
apart.
you work as a
Okay,
team.
my family has already segmented because my daughter moved out in February. So the upstairs, her upstairs bedroom, which is now called the elbow room because it gives Michael elbow room.
So it gives him a
Because
place
he's
to hang
now,
out a little
he
bit.
now has spreads out, he has spread out.
But does your daughter feel bad that, hey, this was my place, now you
No.
just gave it up?
Nah,
You don't
Caitlin's
care
so
anymore?
level-headed,
She's like a
yeah,
point
she's a
level.
rock, she's like, have a good time.
She's sobbing her eyes down the ground. I'm not a rock.
Nah, she was good, she's
Okay,
good.
good.
So when we had to get out of our house, we were getting out of our house, out of our area because they were putting tile in.
But you never had
Which
to
should only
actually
take a few
leave.
days.
You lived there the entire time while they were working. on it,
Yes, we
which
did
is
not leave
tough.
the house. We could have left, and the opportunity would have been when they're doing the floor. Because we did from my front door to the bedrooms, to the only other entrance was a side door.
I mean, we had to leave for a couple of days because they were refinishing the wood floor, and the smell
The smell.
made you leave.
Okay, so they were, you couldn't walk on
Okay.
areas. Couldn't get to the basement, couldn't get to the bathroom downstairs, couldn't get to the bedrooms without having to walk on this floor, this tile.
Right.
So they come in and they put this, they call it a mud job, but it's actually concrete. They put that in and it needs a day to dry. You can't walk on it, that's the bottom line. Then they come in and they begin to put in tile, and they put down a schmear of stuff, which is...
Schmear,
a
like,
schmear.
like a nice pastrami sandwich.
Yeah,
Put a schmear in a nice slice
nice
of
layer
pickle,
of cream
little
cheese.
crispy lettuce. Well, good.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. They put that down. You can't walk on that for
No.
a day or so. And then they put the grout. You can't walk on that for 24 hours.
They
So
got a
for
lot of
3
rules.
days, you cannot get to your bedroom. My case, bedrooms, bathroom, basement.
Okay.
Okay, so you got to think a little ahead. What do I need? Where am I going to go? If you're leaving the house, you got to take clothes and stuff like that. Okay, you can't do laundry because I can't because my
You
washing
can't
machine is
get to it.
downstairs. You can't use the bathroom. So we went upstairs to Caitlin's room. We moved into
The elbow room.
which was an invasion of
Of
Michael's
Michael's space.
privacy.
Right.
Okay, but he was good about it. You know, he was good.
He's a little older. He gets it.
He gets it, you
Okay.
know. And
He's
he's
beyond
he's
that
telling his
early
friends-
20s where he thinks you're an idiot.
No.
He's beyond that.
He's got it.
Gotcha.
He's old enough to get it. So he's like, yeah, Marina and Tony are living upstairs with me. That's what he tells us. I'm like, first of all, I hate when he calls
you
me
by your first
Marina and Tony. He never calls me Tony. He never calls her Marina.
No,
But
but
you
to
hear
his
him
friends.
say, Marina and Tony are living upstairs
Yeah.
with me. But it was okay. You know, we had everything we needed.
You call him out and
We
say, I'm
were-
sorry, Dad, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were prepared.
Okay.
Christopher, on the other hand, he could have went to my mother's house, my mother-in-law's house. He could have gone anywhere.
Because he lives downstairs, so it
His
affected
bedroom's
him
downstairs.
more.
So he needed to get out.
Okay.
But he said, hey, I'm just going to like climb in and out my bedroom window, so I don't care.
Okay.
So he decided he
It
was
worked.
going to jump on top of my shed and jimmy his window and get in. So he could care less. He went in and out of his
Okay.
bedroom, didn't care.
So it worked.
And that was
good.
it. So staying there, we overcame the challenge of when the floor went down. The hardest part was not having a kitchen for so many days, or actually a couple of weeks,
Right.
because that's when you have to go out to eat each
Sure.
meal, or you have to buy something that you could microwave. I had a microwave down my basement. My wife, we use the grill. I have like a butane stove. We can do some things like that. But you don't have anywhere to wash dishes because
Right.
we can't wash in your bathroom sink. Well, you can if you have to,
Right.
but it's not practical.
Now, here's what's interesting. And if you really look into the dynamics of families, one of the threads for most healthy families is that at least 3 or 4 times a week they have a major meal together. And that's the thread that keeps the family together. So by taking away your ability to
Sure.
eat together, really disrupted your whole family? Now, I know we don't have time. We're in our last minute, but
It
next week
it worked out good for us. I just
we're
want
gonna
to
be
say,
back.
I want to say
I wanna talk
thanks to
about
my
this.
wife for pulling this all together, keeping it all together. She cooked, she did everything, and we had our meals together. There were very few days that we didn't eat
because
together.
that's what's important. That's
Yeah.
that thread
Yeah.
that you want to keep intact.
And she inherently understood that.
That's awesome.
So,
Remember,
anyway,
being a good parent, being a dad, it truly is a job. But if you do it right, it's a great job. It's my
very
favorite job.
rewarding.
It is my favorite job. And not just to my own kids. In a way, I feel like I'm a father figure to many other kids. And I totally accept that responsibility, as do you.
Yeah.
Tony, you're a
Okay.
good man. Thank you,
All
Matt.
right, thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone. Tune in next week.
See you next week.
We'll be back with Dear Dad.
Gave you the best of my love. Apparently it wasn't good enough. Said I gave you.
eatradio.com.
The InRadio.com TV network is proud to unveil that we have partnered with
The Dish Network, Xbox 360, Roku, and Netflix.
to broadcast the InRadio show on their networks as well as broadcast their content on InRadio. So look for us there in the upcoming months.
Okay, we're gonna do that one more time.
Okay.
5,
Bob, hold on a second. Shh.
2, 1.
The InRadio.com TV network is proud to unveil that we have partnered with
The Dish Network, Xbox 360, Roku, and Netflix.
to broadcast InRadio shows on their networks as well as broadcast their content on InRadio. So look for us there in the upcoming months.